cookies. I'm like, you.
Maybe, please read the meeting statement.
Adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on January 17, 2024 at the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Act and SA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Please join me in a pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all.
That's next.
No, but I.
Yep.
So,
You want some beer?
no,
Here's a drink from it anyway.
roll call.
Councilmember Bushieri. Councilmember Di Benedetto. Present. Councilmember Higgins.
Here.
Councilmember Sparta.
Present.
Council President Rizzuto.
Here. Just to let the council know, Mrs. Bucieri called me. She will not be attending this evening. She's not feeling well. She's will review her best. And said she will be looking at us.
Hi,
I
Normally.
think. Mayor, speakers.
Council President, thank you. I don't have much to add today. I held a online chat on Facebook last week. It just gave some various town project updates.
Mayor, can you pull the mic closer?
Sure.
I can't hear you.
You got it. How's that? Great, there we go. So last week I held a Facebook live chat, just gave some updates on some various town projects. Just had a chat with some of the people just to get some of their feedback, answer some of their questions. There was no actual format. It was just, again, just a chat. So we got a lot of good feedback on that. And I believe it's crucial to be transparent about our work. I have also expressed some serious concerns about the political violence in our nation, especially after we've just witnessed the attempted assassination of President Trump. There is a lot of misinformation circulating on platforms, like news media and social media platforms, which can incite negative behavior. Unfortunately, this misinformation also affects our local community and doesn't stop with elected officials. It extends to targeting municipal employees. A few weeks ago, we found a large fishing hook attached to one of the pull-down handles that protects. We have these wooden shutters that each department has above their servicing windows, and there was a large fishing hook that was actually adhered to it. And thank God the staff member did not grab a hold of it. This could have been laced with, fentanyl, some other kind of dangerous substance. And, the kind of stuff that's just, it's unacceptable. I immediately reported it to the police chief. Fortunately, due to the lack of internal cameras, we couldn't identify the person responsible. As a result, I have ordered additional cameras to be installed both inside and outside the building to ensure the safety of our staff. So you guys will see that probably in September, October, those lists, just to give you guys a heads up. I want to ensure that the safety and the well-being of our staff are my top priorities, and we are taking necessary steps to address any security concerns. The employees of Vernon Township didn't sign up for this. Okay, just make that clear. They didn't sign up for being hurt, threatened, or harassed like that. So please keep that in mind. If you have any issues with employees, please, I encourage you to contact Tina, our business administrator, at businessadmin@vernontwp.com, or myself at arossi@vernontwp.com, and we will address them promptly. Do not contact council. It's not their job to field these types of complaints. I also want to emphasize that about 90% of the information on social media, a lot of times, most of the time, it's not true. Not true, that's for sure. You know, I'm on the inside. I see those three sides everyone always talks about, the three sides of the story. I see it. And I can tell you there truly is three sides. So let's focus now on some of the progress we're making, including our ongoing pavement project. Fortunately, there was a bit of delay on completing Market Lane due to an overturned truck carrying the asphalt for that street. That road has been rescheduled very soon, I think within the next few days or next week. Hopefully it should be done. I also want to share that because we have a shared service agreement with the Board of Ed, we were able to add their parking lots to our pavement project, which has resulted in close to $100,000 in taxpayer savings. And it allowed us to do additional roads because the more you pave, the cheaper it is. So that was, it's great to see those savings. Tonight, we will also be discussing, it's on our agenda, the purchase of a new mini pumper for the fire department. This new vehicle will be more cost efficient and maneuverable than traditional engines, enabling us to access smaller roads and areas. Although the mini pumper has its limitations, it will significantly benefit our fire department and most importantly, our community. Purchase price was $356,000. I have looked at this fire apparatus myself and it actually still has a new car smell to it and only 2,400 miles. This mini pumper also comes fully loaded with just over $20,000 in tools. These tools are all retrofitted, it's all fit for this type of mini pumper. So it came fully loaded with all these additional tools that you normally wouldn't buy if you were buying it brand new at the manufacturer. So if we were to buy that truck today, the same truck, it's $457,000 and it's a 3-year wait time to get it. And again, it doesn't include the $20,000 in tools. So it's a huge win for Vernon. Also, just a quick update regarding the town center project. We have submitted the technical papers to the county engineers for the final approval. I'm optimistic that we will receive their endorsement in the next couple of weeks. And before I go into any other topic, I want to finally enter Harris Solomon into the Historical Preservation Commission. As many of you know, has been restored. The Historical Preservation Commission, which has been abolished. We must protect our history, not erase it. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the generous donation, the amount of $9,860 from the Historical Society, which is the total cost of the town center clock. This donation will be the centerpiece of Vernon. Looking forward to completing this project. And I have with me a certificate of appreciation, and I'd like to present it to the Historical Society. So all members of the Historical Society, if you're here, please come up and accept our appreciation.
Thank you, Mayor. May I have a motion to open the floor for public comments on the agenda item only, which is limited to 3 minutes per person? Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Higgins. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. The floor is open to the public on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to come forward?
Break the ice. This one, that one.
Step right up.
That's bad. Step right up.
State your name
First name,
for the record.
last name, McClackery Thomas, resident of Vernon. I've complained for a few years about fees and fines. Basically, fees and fines are taxes. As you know, you have a couple of ordinances tonight on fees and fines. There's no need to do all of this. We're raising fees to inspect an electrical box. You know, if I put one in, I'm gonna have to pay twice the amount now to have some person, some person from the township come out and inspect. I don't see that. We pay their salaries and it's in the budget. So I don't see this, but the only thing that you're raising tonight, which I agree with, which I've talked about to Mr. Rizzuto, and even before Mr. Rizzuto was on council, I was talking about it, and that's plenary licenses. For the first time in a few decades, you've decided to raise those license fees. And for that, I think you're right. You know, because they make a mint off of those licenses. And because they're so restrictive, I go to California, every half block has a liquor store or place where you can buy beer. In New Jersey, it's crazy. It shouldn't be so. It's no longer the Volstead Act has been repealed, and we should act like it. But anyway, thank you for that. And the other thing is the OEM, you're raising his salary, but you didn't put in there what his old salary was. And from what I've observed over the years, it's basically just to show up, top. I'm concerned. I haven't said that. Have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council? Now I'll ask for a motion to close the meeting to the public. Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All members have received copies of the bills list. Do you have any questions or comments on the bills list? Please, the opportunity to raise your questions.
Can you just remind me what the 18th, check number 62103, $18,000 software and support? Can you just remind me?
What support is that?
That's what I'm asking. It's I'm guess?
Yeah, that is the software that the DPW uses for the MS4, the stormwater. So that is the monthly for the,
That's-
tier thing.
Did we,
yeah, the tier thing.
yeah, did we have to have that before the tier thing?
No.
Oh, man.
We didn't have a choice on that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Given a mandate, and I think it was, I think they gave us what, 75,000? No,
That's what we got.
Yes.
Yeah,
75,000, and it's,
almost nothing.
so, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay, thank you. That's a shame.
The other?
Yeah, I have one quick question on 62135. That's for Smith Price King. Is that tax appeal services, is that a retainer or is that an actual bill for things that have already taken place, like an actual appeal?
That would be, we pay them for when any appeals come through. So that was probably because they had to do an appeal.
For an actual appeal, the cost is, that could be for one appeal?
It could be for several. I don't know if that is one or not. I can find out for you.
I'd be interested, just see.
All right.
If what it costs us, it could be a runaway number.
I'm gonna post the appeals and how much in taxes we've collected, or I should say we lost years ago, which was over 300,000. And this year, it's only $1,000. So it's, yeah, it's been a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to question? Thank you. All members have received minutes of our regular meeting of July 8th. I have a motion to place these minutes on the floor for consideration and review. Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Higgins. Anyone have any questions on the minutes? Additions, deletions,
No,
corrections?
none here.
If not, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Member Di Benedetto?
Abstain.
Member Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Scarpelli
Yes. Yes,
carries.
on our consent agenda. We are removing resolution 24-22-3. I've asked the mayor if we could possibly review this and see if we could come up with some system financing towards this, whether it be grant or something otherwise. I understand the nature of the problem. I think the council does as well, but the number that we're looking at to handle this, the price of this fencing is rather substantial, and I think we could maybe do a little bit better. So is there any other comments or resolutions that you would like to separate from the agenda? Consent agenda?
Yeah, I don't want to separate. I just had a question on a couple of them, that's all. I had a question on 218, 220.
Well, if you only have a question, you don't want it separated, then let's separate it so we can have the question.
Okay,
All right?
218, 220, 221. And that was it.
That was it. Anyone else? Okay, so consent agenda for resolutions. Resolution 24-215, authorizing the cancellation of outstanding checks over 6 months old to municipal cash balances. Resolution 24-216, a resolution requesting permission for the dedication by rider for donations to the police department trust fund. Resolution 24-217, chapter 159, resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation amending the 2024 budget as revenue and appropriation of $20,000 for the spotted lantern fly program 24-206, 20-6 grant. Resolution 24-219, chapter 159, a resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation, amending the 2024 budget as a revenue and appropriation of $10,000 state insurance fund SIF risk control grant. Resolution 24-222, authorizing contracts with certain approved state contract vendors, firefighter 1 for purchase of volunteer fire department turnout gear. Resolution 24-224, a resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, authorizing the disposition of salvage of obsolete equipment in the possession of the township at auction on municipbid.com. Resolution 24-2225, approving a charitable solicitor's permit, Vernon Emergency Medical Services, Inc. Resolution 24-226, authorizing purchase of fire apparatus from the Department of Harrington Park. Resolution 24-227, Block 530, Lot 123, Bundy, canceling taxes for total disabled veteran. Resolution 24-228, refund for totally disabled veteran block 530 lot 123 Bundy. Resolution 24-229, block 512 lot 138 Fowler, canceling taxes for totally disabled veteran. Resolution 24-230, refund for totally disabled veteran, block 512 lot 138 CoreLogic. Resolution 24-231, block 329 lot 5 Nunez, canceling taxes for totally disabled veteran. Resolution 24-232, free fund for totally disabled veteran, block 329 lot 5 Nunez. Resolution 24-232, authorizing a date for municipal tax sales. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion. Second.
So moved by Mr. Higgins, seconded by Mr. Sparta. All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call, vote, please.
Councilmember Di Benedetto? Councilmember Higgins?
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving to resolution 24-218. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Di Benedetto. This is a resolution, chapter 159, resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation, amending the 2024 budget as a revenue and appropriation of $24,613.10. This is for the opioid settlement. This is a chapter 159 resolution allowing us to enter this money into our budget as a revenue. Questions or comments on
So my question is pretty simple. 24,613 going to be added to the budget.
That's right.
Is there any parameters on how that's going to be spent?
Yes,
Yes, go ahead.
there is. It can only be in this account and we have to go by what their approval is. It deals with anything like drug related. So a lot of the times this money is appropriated through the police department for like training, for any equipment that deals with any kind of drug abuse or anything like that. So that money has to go by their parameters.
So it's tied to the opioid
Yes,
settlement.
yes,
Okay,
So there's no one specific fund. It's going to funds that deal with that problem, I guess.
yes,
Okay, and then that's tracked and authorized and,
yes.
okay. Thank
I
you.
have to do a yearly report on it to tell them like where the money's been spent.
Okay.
okay. Roll call, please.
Member Di Benedetto?
Yes.
Yes.
Member Sparta?
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution 24-220. Resolution authorizing fireworks to be displayed on August 4th, 2024 within the township of Vernon. May I have a motion to place this on the agenda for consideration?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Sparta. Questions or comments on that?
That question is, it's past August 4th. I know this is only one meeting this month, one last month. So it's once again one of those votes after the fact.
Right.
How soon up front do these things get planned so we can get it on? No one's gonna vote down fireworks.
Right.
We'd like to know how much money was collected. The fire department apparently was the one who benefited.
Right.
What's the amount? Now it's 3 weeks later, it's just information missing after the fact, that's all.
Well, I think a lot of this is determined by, what the long distance view on weather is because of the potential for loss of revenue. And I think as soon as they manage to come up with the funds themselves, maybe it's frequently a consideration on that
Right.
regard. But I'll see if we can't get you the information that you
Yeah,
want.
if somebody could just
Sure.
let us know before time, so we can anticipate for the budget. Maybe there's some money to be found, who knows?
Okay.
Maybe it's golden parachute.
Roll call, please.
Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins.
Yes.
Sparta.
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution. What do you know?
221.
Yeah, 221, yep.
Chapter 159, resolution requesting approval of revenue and appropriation, amending the 2024 budget as a revenue and appropriation of 75,000 local recreation improvement grant. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration? Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. We have a question on that?
Same question, Tina. $75,000.
This is actually going right to Veterans Memorial Park to the lighting. So we got this grant and it specified when we applied for the grant was for the lighting down at Veterans Memorial Park. So this money will go to that.
For that, okay, specifically.
So we've bonded for that job, so are we not gonna bond for the 75,000 or is it something extra?
Yeah, no,
This was extra because we had something with the lighting, we needed more money. So we applied and this is what it's going to.
is there any way to put that on in the future when you know that information so that we know where it's going without?
Well, in the back of this, it does actually say that it is going to the lighting. Like the information on the back of the resolution, so it does actually say that it's going towards the sports lighting. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is saying on the back of the information that you got said where,
What happened, if I'm not mistaken, there was a problem that wasn't in-
right,
until they began the repair or the change with the
Right.
lighting project. So that was in excess of what the bond amount was, and they applied for the additional quantities, the quantity of money. Roll call, please.
Member Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins.
yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes. Introduction of ordinances. 24-17, an ordinance, Township Council, Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending certain portions of Chapter 518 entitled Towing of the Township Code. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance for to have on the books for a second reading later on? Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. Roll call.
Yes.
Member Higgins.
yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
24-18, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, amending certain portions of Chapter 250 entitled Fees and Escrows and Chapter 330 entitled Fees of the Township Code. May I have a motion to introduce this ordinance, 24-18?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
second,
Seconded by Mr. Higgins. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins,
yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Carries.
There are four adoptions of ordinances. Second readings. Ordinance 24-14, ordinance addressing the construction records clearance. May I have a motion to open this ordinance to the public for hearing on ordinance 24-14 only?
Moved?
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
This is Miss Di Benedetto.
Mrs. Di Benedetto? I'm sorry. Is there a second?
second,
Second that, Mr. Higgins. Floor is open to the public for anyone wishing to address ordinance 24-14 only. Does anyone wish to come forward and question this? If not, I'll ask for a motion to close the meeting to the public on ordinance 24-14.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
seconded by Mrs. De Benedetto. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion counts, motion carries. May I have a motion to place 24-1-14 on the floor for consideration and the second reading for adoption?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. De Benedetto. Any council members have any comments or questions on this?
This is the CRC that we're talking about, 24-14, right?
Right.
Is there a law or a override state mandate, or is this strictly a local decision to further, I guess, regulate the construction records?
No, what happens is occasionally we have, if I'm not mistaken, we have records that are still open and fees that have to be collected,
Right.
or they have been collected and the records haven't been closed. And this takes care of that situation.
Yes, when you're buying a house, let's say you're buying Mr. Rizzuto's home,
Please.
for just for sale. If he had some open permits, it would get flagged, and this way he'd have to resolve those issues before you take an ownership, which is, it's good, because a lot of times that you'll come in and you'll be like, you come in for something and there'll be an open fee, then you'll be held responsible for that. So it's kind of like a records clearance that make sure that those records are cleared by the original owner. That record.
All the years that hasn't been in place and it's not subject to specific law, like,
Yeah, we would find that people that I didn't know about this open permit, or, so now we have something in place that
right?
allows for the clearance of that.
What if somebody protests a permit? Let's say they pull a permit and it's never approved for some reason. They put up a deck, they build a pool, they do whatever. There's a squabble over one small piece, permit's never approved, and they're using the pool for 10 years. Is that something that would come up whenever they sell the house? Is that an open permit that's still open, hasn't been closed?
Yes,
It
yes.
is, yeah.
If they have an open permit, and this form will allow our building department to make sure that all their permits for that house is closed before they can even sell the house.
All right,
So if they did put a pool up or a deck up and didn't get a permit, and the building department finds out about that also, then they would have to actually apply for the permit, pay for the permit, and then they would get the clearance.
As well as any penalties.
Right.
okay. The reason I'm asking, there's been, when I say a few, three construction companies that I know in town. A couple of them are saying they're not doing business in Vernon anymore because when permits are pulled and plans are submitted, things change when it comes time to signing off the permits. And so permits are left open. And it's, who's going to spend the money to go to court to see who's right or wrong? And nobody wants to spend money when they have a permit. And so in a case like that, if it's not cited, not settled, it's still open, and it has to wait until the house is sold, I guess, to permanently settle. Is that it?
Yes. Unless our building, our official comes across it for another situation where he is checking up on some of the permits where they, they applied for, didn't apply, so if not, probably this is will help clear up things that they don't, check on. Because they wouldn't check on it unless they're asking for an inspection.
Uh-huh.
There's other townships that have adopted this. I could have the our construction official shed some more light on that for you. This way, he can answer really in depth all those questions. So I just know it's so when you buy the home, you will have a clear slate to start with. So there's no pending permits open or anything like that. So, or things that should be held responsible for.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Roll call.
Councilmember Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Councilmember Higgins,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution twenty-four 15, an ordinance amending the salaries for certain officers and employees, Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey. May I have a motion to open the public hearing to public,
So moved.
moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Mrs. Di Benedetto. Anyone public wishing to come forward and question this particular issue, please come forward.
Right, so that's an ordinance or a resolution?
For an ordinance.
Okay, I already made that comment. Emergency management coordinator.
Again, sir, just for the record, it's Tim.
Tom.
Tom.
Thomas McClack.
I waffle on that again?
You just wanted your name.
I just need your name for the record.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Not, may I have roll call, please?
We
Please close our meeting to the public. A motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sparta, seconded by Mrs. Di Benedetto. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. May I have a motion to place ordinance twenty-four 15 on the floor for approval by the council
Or discussion or
or
question?
discussion?
Okay, so moved.
Moved by Mr. Higgins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. Any questions or comments on that?
Is this a change in the current setup? Is this a new position? Is this what?
No, it's not a new position. It's a position that we had prior. The person that's actually in this position has been doing it for several years. And we're just increasing his salary.
And the current salary is somewhere in the middle of these two?
Yes,
And the potential is to go up to 10.
yes,
Is there a plan to do that?
yes.
There is. And just for how many years been in a position?
I don't know exactly how many years, but he's been at least 2 years.
Uh-huh.
He's been in that position.
Has anything to do with the coordination and the merging of the EMTs and the?
Yes, he did. He handles all of that.
So there is some functionality that's different?
Oh, yeah, he's,
Possibility?
well, I mean, that's kind of like before,
He is the liaison between the ambulance squad and our office. He helped get them merged together besides doing all the other OEM stuff with, any kind of,
natural disasters or anything like that. He's the guy he's the coordinator for that, so,
Do you have another position with the town?
no.
no,
No, just a private individual, private?
he has another job. So this is like a part-time position for him.
Okay.
Yeah, any kind of outages or anything like that, he kind of coordinates a lot of that stuff. too.
Any of the
Shelters,
shelters,
yeah,
all of that.
he's got a vital role to
Uh-huh.
Vernon, so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
Member Di Benedetto,
Yes.
Member Higgins,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh.
Ordinance twenty-four 16. Holding on this. Our next. May I have a motion to open the floor for public comment on any items on any topic?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Higgins. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. The floor is open to the public for discussion or comment on any particular item. Please come forward and state your name.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Burrow.
Mr. Mayor and council, as a former township council member and mayor, I have firsthand respect and appreciation for the difficulty and the challenges of the responsibility that you shoulder as leaders of our town government. And it is for this reason that since my four-year term as mayor ended in January of this year, I have not uttered a single negative public comment, nor have I posted any negative social media comments, criticized any decision that you've made or any action that you've taken. Mr. Rossi knows that this statement is true because he has firsthand knowledge of specific statements that I've made to support him whenever I believe that his actions were in the best interest of moving Vernon forward. However, on tonight, my conscience compels me to use this speaking opportunity that's offered by the council to express my great and heartfelt disagreement with Mayor Ross's decision to use the authority of his office to punish and to hurt a resident as part of what appears to be an ongoing heated dispute with this resident. I speak of Mr. Ross's decision to partially dismantle two gifts to the town by former council member and former mayor Sally Rinka. And because these two gifts, specifically the main town center park identification sign and a new flagpole surrounded by a circle apron of beautiful paving stones, because these two gifts were donated by a mother in memory of her deceased son, a wide cross-section of the Vernon public have described this partial dismantling of these two gifts to our town as being a desecration of a memorial or an act that's spiteful and cruel. I have also been compelled to speak tonight because Mr. Rossi has stated that as mayor, my acceptance of Mrs. Rinker's gift to the town center park, which totaled approximately $7,000, was somehow an improper or illegal, quote, backroom deal, unquote. Let me set the record straight. This claim by Mr. Rossi is, of course, absolutely not true. My acceptance of the gifts that Mrs. Rinker donated to the town center park was above board, it was legal, it was proper, and was done under the same conditions and rules that I and other mayors have accepted a large number of other gifts that have been donated to our town's municipal parks. In fact, our town has a memorial donation program that's administered by the town's Department of Recreation. As is stated on our town's website, anyone can offer a gift to the town in the form of a unique dedication to memorialize a departed family member or friend. There are, in fact, many other such memorial gifts that were given in the memory of deceased individuals, and they are located in all three of our municipal parks. Mr. Rossi claims that a thorough investigation during which he discovered that Mrs. Rossi's deceased son had at one time been arrested and had lived a life that Mr. Rossi did not find acceptable. I have not seen a copy of this claimed thorough municipal investigation that was conducted by our town's mayor because he has not yet released this critical document to the public. I hope that he will release it soon, and I call on him to do so immediately. However, no matter what the results of Mr. Ross's investigation might say, I ask that he remember that we as human beings are not perfect entities. And many of us have sons and daughters and other family members that have lived the kind of lives that we would not like for them to have lived. However, if these individuals are our children, if these individuals are our sons and daughters, we still love them. And even and with their perfections. And that's especially true if it's a mother. I end my comments, Mr. Council President, with the following two simple messages to our mayor. Number one, the message is that I and the great majority of Vernon residents are not at all interested in the personal feud that Mr. Rossi has with Mrs. Rinker. And we most certainly do not want this feud to continue to hold hostage the progress of the many important town issues that we need for him as our mayor to focus his time, efforts, and energy on. And number two, we therefore ask that he immediately correct this serious mistake in judgment by returning both of these gifts to the town to their initially donated condition. I hope with all of my heart, I hope with all of my soul that Mr. Rossi will immediately heed these two simple messages so that our town can start to heal from this breach of decency, so that our town can put this divisive matter behind us and then we can move on. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak.
Anyone else? Please come forward and state your name.
Council President, I just want to make a quick comment. Those
Please.
donations were given,
Please,
they were given back to,
public question, sir, please.
were given back to the owners.
My name is Gerard Conforti, Vernon resident, live on 14 Lounsbury Hollow Road. I'm here because of, well, JCP&L, they installed the smart meters. They didn't give anyone the opportunity to opt out, which now you find out you could. The issue is everyone on our block, our bills doubled and tripled. We didn't have power for 2.5 to 3 days. I had a bill, I have a 2,000 square foot home of almost $600. My neighbor at the end of the block, 600, another person, 300. Contact them. They're telling us they're gonna send a specialist out to test. I'm in the electrical construction field. I deal with maintenance. I deal with testing. I train people how to test. They send someone that he looks at the meter and leaves. That's their extent of testing. I contacted the state. They're going back and forth with me. I asked them if I could be present when they're doing their tests on the meters. They're telling me it's 100% accurate, which is incorrect. You're supposed to do a CT scan. They're not doing that or performing that. They're telling me they could bring a state official to come watch and to monitor the thing. So my question to them is, that state official, is the NFPA 70 certified to understand and what the testing is going on? Their answer is no. So we have a problem with people, they're putting systems in our homes. They're not or doing the proper testing. Now we have issues and they're not doing what they need to do on their end to get it tested right. They own it. Even though it's on my house, I can't get a third party to test it because it's their property technically. So going back and forth with them, we're not getting anywhere. We're just getting astronomical bills. Hundreds of people, we put comments on Facebook and Instagram. And there's one guy, he got a $700 bill. He lives by himself. He has an air conditioner and everything lights. You know, it's not like my bill normally, with air on and everything, 300, 350. Now, the last one was 600. The one before that was 580 with 2.5 days of no electric. So there definitely is an issue. The fact is some of the residents don't say anything because they have Sussex Rural. As you come up the hill, turns into JCP&L. And it's like they have a monopoly. There's nothing we could do. It's not like I could go to another electrical company to give them competition so they could give us a better rate or to fix something. It is, you know, you call them up, they're right. There's no argument. You can't say nothing.
Let me comment on this just briefly. We've had in the past some problems with JCP&L.
Mhm.
To the extent that we had extensive outages. I think people here will remember this because of branches that came down and, you know, and it took an inordinate amount of time for these repairs to be made. We contacted JCP&L on behalf of the township residents who were affected by this. And we were assured that these things would be approved and corrected. This was done through the office of the mayor. I'm going to ask the mayor through his good offices to contact JCP&L since this is an issue regarding usage and with residents that would require, you know, the administration to look into. We'll ask them if they can come and comment at the next meeting. I think there's an individual that we have as a contact.
He came just a few months ago.
Right,
Yeah.
and we can bring it to his attention. So I will make that comment on contact on behalf of the council. I share your concern because I too am a JCP&L resident, except that, you know, I don't know if I have those smart meters or not. It's,
Well, you're able to opt out, and he told me afterwards, there would be another $15 fee, which I would have did. I would have no
of
problem.
course, yeah.
When they came to install it, they didn't give me the option.
Can you opt out now?
No, because they can't give me my old meter back. It's the smart meter, that's it. The other issue is when the gentleman installed it, they're supposed to give you a certification, calibration. They did not, they won't give that to me. So I do data centers, the biggest data centers in the state, solar farms. We at my company constructed the biggest solar farm in the state of New Jersey. We bring the power to the pole, we have a meter. When we get that meter, it's calibrated certified. We also get it calibrated certified by a third party. I'm asking them, when I also know when the guy installed everything, the meter he had wasn't calibrated certified. So how could he, that's beyond, he didn't wear the proper PPE, the whole nine. So all that they're doing, how do I know they're installing it properly or it's tested properly, which I know it's not.
Are you speaking on behalf of yourself only or a group?
Group.
Would you please give your name, address, telephone number to our business administrator? And we'll see if we can, this along
I would also suggest all the people that you're representing to contact the business administrator.
as well.
A list, ongoing list and Facebook, and then also a lot of the people on our block that from Sussex and Sussex Rural and comes up with.
Maybe you could provide the address
Absolutely.
and we have
How was the
contact.
opt-out supposed to have been made?
So basically,
Through a contact, phone call, a postcard, or what?
what I would assume is either if you have say you do digital, right? So you're paying your bill digitally, or I get mine through the mail, give me something in the mail. Okay, you were getting the new smart meters, but if you choose to opt out, it'll be an extra $15 a month. We didn't get that option. You're getting a smart meter, it to be installed on this date. That's it. I didn't.
Well, one
It
would
was
think,
done in mail, Pat. It was done by mail.
and one would,
GP&L customer.
one would think that if it's a smart meter, you probably get more accurate,
Correct.
more.
Correct. Yes. I did everything they asked, so I changed my whole home to the smart thermostats. We've, I work for an electric company, I'm like, switch everything out to how they recommend to run it most efficient, and it's not,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Will you just give me at least your name and number?
Anyone else wishing to come forward?
It doesn't matter.
And your address, please.
Not a problem.
Good evening, Mrs. Estes.
Peg DeStassi, good evening. Screenland West, sorry. Council President Rizzuto and fellow councilmen. I speak tonight to address the situation at the bike pump track memorial. As a former council person, I'm deeply concerned with the potential incidents of this event. Does this open the door for every change of administration to take action of retaliation? This town has a long history of underlying tensions of disagreement and dislike. By allowing this action to stand, it condones the action taken and set the Vernon up for a continuation of such deeds. I appeal to the council to reinstate the monument and to put an end to this tonight. This has made a laughing stock of our community, and it needs to be set right. Thank you.
Very much. Anyone else wishing to come forward or address the council? Mr. McClackery,
Yes, sir.
were you, did you not address?
That was during the
Yeah,
ordinance.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you're good.
Good.
He thought you were coming up for a second time, but you came up during the ordinance,
I wasn't trying to get, say you were getting two bites of the apple. I was just being careful.
Mr. Rizzuto, I know you need to slide on. I just got a couple of quick questions. Number one is, I didn't say it before on the resolutions, you approved the Vernon charitable solicitors permit for the Vernon Emergency Medical Services, Inc. What the heck is that?
that's the new combined ambulance squad.
So I shouldn't just slam the door in their face?
You can do what you want to do.
Well, usually when I get a call about, the Sheriff's Patrolman Association wants me to contribute money to help out disadvantaged sheriff dollar handlers or something along that line. I hang out. I think most people do, I assume. Okay, but seriously, getting back to my original topic, and that's property tax assessment and the way it's carried out within the township. And, you know, at some point, I mean, the justification for this, forget the point, justification for this is that we lowered the amount of cases going to property tax court. And we knew that was going to happen because in the 2008 assessment, right during that little blip we had in property prices, prices in Vernon doubled. The prices in the rest of the nation, well, they sort of like tanked. And that prompted a lot of tax appeals over the years. We had the highest rates for 11 years. And I heard nothing out of the tax assessor about, hey, maybe we redo this tax assessment. But no, not a word. So then 2019 come up and we're going to change how we do property tax assessments. And I said at that time, I'll say it again, most people do not need government intruding into their houses on a 5-year basis. It's just big government. We don't need it. We had a system before that worked before. If we had a competent tax assessor, which apparently we didn't. But this assessment that we have now is just beyond the pale. It's unnecessary. We ought to go back to the one person from the township coming out every 10 years, do the evaluation and dropping back to the building code stuff. All of that should be appear in the property tax assessment. So if I put in a swimming pool, it's going to be noted there and the building department's going to pick it up. So regardless of that, we have to change this property tax assessment system, go back to the old system, because I don't want to be looking at people from the township. It's just big government intruding into individuals' lives. That's it.
Thank you.
You heard me. Thanks very much. Have a good night.
Quite welcome. Anyone else wishing to come forward?
Good evening, George Nakonarov, Sussex, portion of Vernon. I'm here to talk tonight about what I deem as an act of desecration committed by the mayor of this town to the memorial of Jason Rinker, donated by the mother of Jason Rinker, former mayor Sally Rinker. When my wife and I moved here in early 2000, Vernon, New Jersey was a place we envisioned living in, enjoying, and raising a family. To us, the wide open spaces, the camaraderie with your fellow neighbors, and above all else, the ability to come together, despite political affiliation, opinions, and circumstances, were all great factors for setting down roots. However, when I found out about the act of desecration that the mayor has committed in removing the memorial from the pump track, I started to see just how dark people in this town could become. And in over 20 years of calling Vernon Township the fool, I am for the first time disgraced to call myself a resident here. This is something I would have never expected to talk about at a town council meeting, because the sheer idea of a town government committing an act like this is unfathomable to me. As I said to my email in the town council, the mayor dated July 9th, 2024, whether you're for or against the pump track, this is an error on many different levels. For one, the sheer fact that the memorial was removed under the pretenses outlined is an act of cancel culture. Cancel culture goes against the true ideals of conservatism, where you learn both from the good and the bad so you don't repeat the mistakes. This makes Vernon Township no better than the towns and the cities across the country that have removed memorials. Second, it paints a bad image for this town and sets a precedent for future mayors. What's to say that the next mayor won't remove future donations or memorials? Is that what we're about now? Would you want to open a business here? If the effort you put into town and the donations you made could be upended in a heartbeat by one elected official. Third, and above all else, desecration is wrong, both from a moral standpoint and potentially by law. 2C:33-9 states that a person commits a disorderly person's offense if he purposely desecrates any public monument, insignia, symbol, or structure, or place of worship or burial. Above all else, this demonstrates the character of the said elected official. Regardless of what you think of the pump track and the underlying politics, this action is wrong. The mayor made a grave mistake in involving himself in the personal dispute between two parties, desecrating the memorial and supporting cancel culture. You do not desecrate a memorial to anyone. Who are we as residents of this town to turn a blind eye to actions like this? And after that, what's next? What other memorials are we going to take down? The council needs to act to undo this disgraceful act and put the memorial back. The actions you take today will show the residents of this town, the county, the state, and even the nation who we are. Do we support desecration and cancel culture? Or are we a town based around the fundamental values that actions like this should never be committed, that the dead should be left to rest, and that something like this should not be a political football? Please restore the memorial, make the right decision. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Rich Carson, how are you?
Oh, welcome. How are you, sir?
All right, yourself?
Please address the council.
Yeah, I know.
He's not a
He read out my 5 minutes. Sorry? Okay, I'm here to talk about the memorial situation. And clearly this situation could have been handled differently. And by that I mean, was communication made with the council in conjunction with making a decision on the removal? And was communication made by the mayor in relation to communicating with the families? Now, the mayor's decision has caused tremendous heartbreak for 2 sets of families. The Rinker family and the other family, I'm not going to mention the name right now, but my heart really goes out to them. These 2 families should not have suffered and continue to suffer the agony that the mayor has triggered over the past month. None whatsoever. With that in mind, a couple of interesting things came up that I think the council needs to investigate. And actually, it's your duty to investigate and report back to the town. I know the family did not contact the mayor regarding this. He contacted them. All right?
Excuse me, who contacted who?
That
The mayor contacted which family?
the mayor contacted the family. Which begs the question,
Mrs. Rinker's family?
no, the other family. Which begs the question, who contacted the mayor? Dead silence on that over the past month. I've made repeated requests for that. You have an obligation to find that out. The town needs to know. This is an issue of integrity, decency. Next, this investigation, those two words jumped out at me when I first saw the letter to Mrs. Rinker. Detailed investigation. By who? Well, we know the mayor claims he did an investigation, but who did his investigation? Again, silence. One can presume, well, I'm hoping to God that it wasn't our police department, and I doubt that very much. I don't think they would stoop that low, and I know many of the officers and they're outstanding. So where did this information come from? Didn't come from the family initially. Who did it come from? Who contacted you?
Just the council, please.
Please.
Yeah. So in summary, I'll leave other comments to others. You have a job to do, and what are you gonna do about it? How is this going to be corrected? It clearly was done out of hatred and spite. And it's very interesting that the mayor campaigned heavily to heal division in the town. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to come? Please state your name.
Michelle Schaffer.
I'm sorry?
Michelle Schaffer. I live at High Ridge Estates. I've been there for over 2 decades. Jason Rinker was my neighbor, next door neighbor. I have a deceased husband. I don't know much about politics, but I do know right from wrong. And I know that this was very wrong, this act of hatred. I think you would agree that if somebody did that to one of your kids that was deceased, you'd have a problem, Mr. Rossi. So if anybody had done that to my husband, his memorial, I would have a big problem with that. I have nothing more to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Mr. Rizzuto.
Good evening, Ms. Gutzel.
Steve Dunlop, Williamsville Estates. Lived here since 1995, relative newcomer. There was a video posted by the mayor about this incident. And he made a statement about the administration had voted to name the park, had voted down by the council and a 5-0 vote. Now, if this was part of his investigation, he didn't do a very good job because there was never a 5-0 vote. There was a vote to name the park, which you introduced the night of a meeting. It wasn't on the agenda prior. It was introduced the night of the meeting, and it said Vernon Township Youth Memorial Park and Pump Track. And that was a 3-2 vote. Council President Natalie Buccieri and
Brian Lynch voted yes, and Harry Shortway and Mike Fury voted no. So it just makes me wonder if he couldn't get that right, what else didn't he get right? I spoke at the last meeting and said I saw this as the mayor's tit for Mrs. Rinker's tat. They've been poking at each other since before the election. He was not happy that she called the police on him. Having viewed the video, I think it was probably improper that the police were involved. Then he said that she stalked him in his house. I believe she drove by his house, and she was the way that the council found out that he was taking a township-owned vehicle home without council approval. I think it became very personal. And for the mayor to involve Mrs. Rinker's son in it, who was a dear friend of mine, I found and still find unconscionable. Her son should have never been involved in this. If he wanted to file charges against her, fine, no problem with that. But this should not have happened. It should have never been done. And I really hope the council will intervene and do something to put it back. I didn't even comply with the resolution. The resolution was 22-162. And the resolution clearly stated it was to be named the Vernon Township Youth Memorial Park and Pump Track. In the end, it was named the Town Center Park and Pump Track. And Mrs. Rinker paid for the sign. She paid for the flagpole. She paid for the monument. And later when it was taken down and he was questioned, he said, well, no, that's township property. Hence the flag is still there. I'm tempted to go over there myself with a chainsaw and cut the sign down. Because if it's either all township property or none of it's township property. She should at least be reimbursed, but I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is to do the right thing, the Christian thing, and restore the monument to where it was. That was done last fall. And nobody said a word about it until just a few weeks ago. And it became a big issue. In fact, the father of the injured girl claimed in a Facebook page that he knew nothing about it until just very recently. The mayor claimed to me that he had had many, many people contact him about this. Well, I know an Oakwood was filed and the clerk said there was nothing responsive, as if nobody had contacted the mayor.
Right.
Please. But I do find it difficult when the mayor says that there was a 5-0 vote to vote it down. That's wrong. So what else was wrong? There were charges filed. I don't think there was ever any resolution to that. I hope the man will come to his senses and realize that it was vindictive and it was the wrong thing to do, and that he will put it back and we put this whole episode behind us. I have not seen this many people show up at a meeting since the original pump track meeting. And the reason that he was being honored was he was the one that originally brought this thing to the town to build a pump track and offered to do it for free. And then Dan Kraus came and wanted to do a 5013C and do it. And then 2 previous mayors took it over, and here we have a pump track. I hope the right thing will be done. Now, hope I have a little bit more time left because I have a couple other issues to address. One of them being, 9 seconds?
Talk quick.
Go ahead. One of them being the Oprahs. It has come to my attention. There's some Facebook postings that the attorney is now handling Oprahs, at least on behalf of certain residents. I know that there was an issue in the past. I know that the council met with the clerk. The clerk was supposed to remove herself from the issue. Lauren was supposed to be dealing with this, at least one particular individual, and was not supposed to involve herself. Now I understand that the township attorney, not Mr. King and another one, is supposed to be handling these. This is what the Board of Ed did, and it ended up costing us thousands of dollars because the BA refused to do her job, and now the attorney was handling the Oprahs and charging us for it. So my question is threefold. Number one, did the attorney volunteer to do this pro bono? Number two, was it the council president that instructed the attorney to do it? Or was it the mayor that instructed the attorney to do it? And if the attorney is going to be doing it, is there going to be an adjustment to the clerk's salary? Or is the clerk going to be responsible for paying for these additional legal fees? Open regulations say it's the town clerk's responsibility.
Or designate anyone who has the appropriate certifications and background to handle this.
Which I would think would be her assistant Lauren,
Right.
not the township attorney. So I don't know who made that decision, but if it's going to cost us more money, I find it troubling.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to come forward?
Nobody wants to be me right here, right now, okay? Sally Rinker, Vernon. Over the past several weeks, there's been much misinformation delivered to the public about my son, Jason Rinker, and me, by Anthony Rossi. He's trying to justify what can only be the result of political spite by removing my son's memorial monument from the Vernon Pump Track Park. My son is not here to defend himself, so I will do that for him. On July 6th, I received an email from Anthony Rossi stating he ordered the removal of my son's monument and park sign. The council was copied on that same email, but the items were already moved days before. I was told I could pick them up at the DPW garage. It's not easy picking up a couple of 100-pound granite monument, so obviously I had to organize some help and found it on the floor of the DPW garage. My donation to the park included the large entrance sign, a flagpole and area for the monument to rest on, and the memorial monument for my son. The email contained a litany of lies. He wrote that my son had physical altercations with Vernon police. That never happened. He wrote that my son had numerous arrests from drug and weapon charges. That never happened. There was a time when somebody made a false accusation about my son, and when the police investigated, they found some guns locked in a safe where they belonged. And those guns belonged to my son's ex-wife, fully registered legal guns. The charges were dropped. That was the end of weapon charges for my son. Drugs. My son had many injuries over a lifetime of love for extreme sports. He had a medical marijuana card for legal use. That was it. No opiates, no anything else, just marijuana. Now Anthony Rossi is courting marijuana companies to come here to grow, distribute, and sell it in our town for revenue. His constant delivery of lies about my son had no other purpose but to create a false perception in the eyes of the public to garner support for his despicable consecration of my son's memorial. He posted a 7-minute amateur video to portray himself a victim with more lies. He claimed I watch his house. I don't watch his house. I did see his house one time and I didn't even stop, okay? He claimed he twisted an event of harassment that he wielded on me while I was trying to enter Acme to shop one night. He passed me in the Acme parking lot, beeping his horn with his head and arm out the window on a 40-degree night, yelling out my name. His quiet video doesn't portray all that. The totality of it was harassment in my eyes, because we don't say hello on the street. He also forgot to present my eyewitness's written statement, which completely corroborates my statement. That was missing, but we were told facts matter, but only his facts. I reported it only because he was in office a very short time, and it was very weird behavior. And I wanted to document it in case the harassment continued. And here we are. So without concern for any other donation, memorial, or monument in our town, he targeted mine. He reported to the Advertiser newspaper that people were asking him to remove it. Several separate over requests for this information yielded none of that, except there were citizens sending the mayor and council letters expressing disgust and requesting he put everything back. That's all it yielded. Ironically, my son's memorial received more acknowledgement and authorization from the then Mayor Burrell and the council than any other monument, I believe, in this town. Complete with a dedication ceremony by Mayor Burrell on November 25th, 2023. When this spiteful act became known, someone started an online petition, someone I don't even know. It garnered 632 signatures in about 3 days. Today, an initiative petition, an allowable action afforded to citizens of a Faulkner Act government to create an ordinance was submitted to the Vernon Township clerk with 578 signatures received in almost not even 3 weeks. This petition is appealing to the council to please pass the ordinance that's written in this petition to replace the sign and the monument to their rightful places in the park. Heartfelt citizens of our town have placed flowers in the place of the monument in the meantime.
Amen.
I want to thank the committee of petitioners and the people of Vernon who eagerly signed the petition. We believe such public support to rectify such an ill act should be honored. I will close by saying I am proud to live in a community that when people hear of such an act, with no justification, but a litany of lies to fool them, they respond with anger and disappointment that competent leadership is absent in our mayor's office. Thank you.
Address the council.
Good evening, everyone.
Please state your name.
My name is Joe Hernandez. I'm not a local Vernon resident. I drove here from Manhattan. Jason was a friend of mine for about 20 years, and we saw on social media regarding, taking down his monument, not only affecting this town, it's affecting the whole mountain bike community. There's thousands of people who have been responding, in social media stating that this didn't need to happen. I don't know the current mayor or what dispute he has with Ms. Rinker, but having that sign removed, it hurt a lot of people. And, as someone else stated, in my opinion, it makes the town look bad to allow something like this to happen, not to say that anyone up here agreed with it or disagreed with it. So, again, I drove all the way up here just to say that, none of us are perfect, and I heard some negative things about Jason and his past, but he brought a lot of us together as a family. He introduced me to mountain biking and took me all over the East Coast. I follow him in races. I know his children, his child, and he knows my children. I've been hanging out here for 15, 20 years just to come up to that bike shop. My bike is still there with John Hansen. I probably have 50 bike shops, you know, on the way here, but I always come to Vernon and always try to bring business to this community. And just wanted to state that it's not just, you know, the town itself. This is affecting a lot of people. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Come forward.
Hello, my name is Sean Hanson. If you guys remembered from the last council meeting, I will try to keep this on more of a light note and about the camaraderie and more highlights, things of that Jay has brought for the cycling community. I don't want to go down the dark path that Anthony Rossi has done. I just want to bring back to highlight of some of these amazing things. As we've seen, one of our great customers, Joe Hernandez. He's been a great friend of Jay for over 20 years. It's not the first customer that has come through our doors asking what has happened with the memorial stone down at the Vernon Pump Track. I constantly am asked, you know, what has happened with it and what's going on. When I first left Trek, when I had the opportunity to open up a business here, was because of Jay, knowing the foundation that he set and the community that he created and what made Mountain Creek so special for all these people that came to this resort. And with that, I knew that I had the keys to success much easier than starting from scratch, that Jay already built that foundation. So when I started up my business there, it was amazing to know that people were so happy to see me, knowing that I was Jay's right-hand man for the past 20 years, to come in and know that I'm in there again. And the amount of joy and seeing that everyone would be so proud to see what the business has become now. Knowing that Jay can feel rested and happy, knowing that this business is going forward. Everyone cared about Jay. And to very much, they wanted to know how they could support still Jay. And we've made t-shirts and stickers, and everyone's always inquiring about more t-shirts and stickers and things of that matter. And I helped them out. So when this happened, it struck the community hard. The amount of messages I've received from social media saying how can they help, it's just unfortunate that a lot of these people, which is what we're striving to do, is bringing outside people for business, can't come here and sign this petition or voice their opinion in much because of what the mayor did. It's not right. It's a low blow to say, and just on top of it, like, you don't mess with the dead. Let them rest. Jay's done so much. Along with that, I will always say this. Jay was never really into politics. Jay would always have these conversations I always saw saying to Sally, like, you know, why don't you just give it a break? So to see this become now a political piece, Jay would be infuriated about it. And it shouldn't have gone this low to begin with. And that's what I'm just going to end it with.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else looking to address the council? Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Sonia Hanson. I live in the Vernon Township. And I have a couple questions for the council and the mayor. Number one is, was the council aware that the memorial was going to be taken down? Did the mayor come and discuss this with the council?
We're here to listen to your comments. Thank you.
Well, that's one of my questions. politically, you know, we all have a right. This is why we live in America. We have a right to choose who we vote for, okay, and I respect that. I'm also open-minded enough to know that sometimes we don't agree with certain parties, but at the end of the day, they may have presented a better position and I also respect that. Mr. Mayor, I feel that this act, taking down the memorial, was really personal. It's personal because as a mother and having lost a child, this deeply saddened me that we are all here tonight discussing this. I ask you to please restore the memorial. It is the right thing to do, especially since the memorial was approved by the previous mayor. This is a process, Mr. Mayor, all I'm gonna say is you crossed boundaries, you made it personal. And the right thing to do is to restore the memorial. I have lived in this town for over 32 years. And honestly, this deeply saddens me. It was a mistake. Let's make it right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Weber,
I'm sorry?
Cindy Weber, Glenwood section of Vernon. I wasn't going to speak, but I feel compelled to. My heart's broken by this horrible, thoughtless, heartless act of removing this from memorial. We have memorials all through this town of people. You go to the Maple Grange Park and there are memorial trees there with memorial names and plaques of deceased people from our town. Why aren't they removed? Why did you only remove the one? It obviously is some type of a political vendetta or something that you've got going on with Sally Rinker and this one certain act.
Please address the.
On memorial. And the council needs to step up and do something because this can't continue. Our town is going downhill. I've never seen such animosity from everybody in this town as I see now. You look at Facebook and all you see is negative things. Who would want to come here and live here anymore? That's all I have to say. I just feel we need to do the right thing. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address the council? Seeing.
But one second, please.
Hello, my name is Christy Lorraine.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, my name is Christy Lorraine. I'm a chief member's girlfriend. I'm on behalf of Laura's when the accident happened. I haven't publicly spoken in 3.5 years since the accident. I've been working on my recovery and healing my family and trying to maintain being a single mother. But there's been a lot of misinformation and lies and false things going on. I felt this was my time to come and speak up so that everybody know the facts. So I'm here on behalf of myself, and I'm also here on behalf of my beloved who is not here to be able to speak for himself. Everybody thinks that they're honoring Jay and they're, on his behalf, wanting to put this memorial back. The truth is that Jay would have never wanted this memorial in this location. He would have never wanted it there. And his mother, Sally Rinker, was well aware of that. When the town got the results for the ground testing of this location, they came back contaminated. with cancer causing toxins. And for people who don't know, both of our sons had cancer and battled cancer. And his mother, Sally, actually brought the paperwork for the ground testing results to his bike shop while I was present. And as soon as Jason found out that the land was contaminated and toxic, he told her he wanted nothing to do with it. Both of our children had cancer, he would never take our boys there, and he would never want any of his children to go there to be exposed to toxins and cancer-causing chemicals, as we battled a very strong fight to have both of our children battle the cancer. I would also like to bring to the attention that, you know, people are coming up and saying how disgraceful it is to remove Memorial, including his mother, but I just wanted to bring that really his attention. 4 months after my accident, I wasn't able to attend Julie's funeral. I was in the hospital in Florida for a month, and I came home with broken arms, broken legs, broken ribs, lacerated liver, my lungs collapsed, my spine was broken, and I had a spinal cord injury that I'm paralyzed from my waist down. So 4 months after, when I was able to get to his grave to leave something for him in honor of him, I have my own memorial in Blackweed. And here it is. It's an engraved picture of us that says, "Rest in peace, my sweet love, until we meet again forever, your girl, Christy Lake." I left this on his grave, and the next day, it was sent back to me by Sally Linker, removed from his grave, whom she loves her son and wants to honor him so much. She removed this lovely piece that I left there, along with a very nasty letter telling me that I was no longer welcome at the grave site. I was no longer welcome at his home where we lived with our children, and I was no longer welcome at the bike shop. And that if I showed up at any of those places, that she would call the police and have me removed for trespassing. This is also a moment after this accident, who wants to honor her son, who sent me messages in the beginning saying that I was the love of her son's life, and that she would be there for me and my son and my family no matter what, due to the fact that her son loved me that much. And after I came home from my accident, she locked me out of the home where my stuff was, my son's stuff was, Jay's son's stuff was. She never allowed me, my son, or Jay's son, her own grandson, to go back in the home to collect any belongings of ours or Jay's, or to say goodbye, or to put me in the home, or do anything. My vehicle was there, all of my stuff was there, including my son's. And after a month of her telling me, "Oh, you'll be able to go back there, I'm gonna make it handicap accessible for you. I want you to be able to live there and be taken care of." It got to the point where I needed to go there to get winter jackets, clothes, my son's snowboard, my vehicle was there, and my son, I wanted him to go start it. It was the middle of winter, and it had been sitting. And I had texted Sally about we were going to go there to get those things and to start my Jeep. And as soon as I arrived, she showed up, got in my face, threatened me. Meanwhile, I'm still very broken, arms, legs, the whole thing. This was only in March after my accident, was in January. And she got in my face in front of my son and my mother. She threatened me and threatened to call the cops, told me I was never welcome on that property again or on any of her properties whatsoever.
She's suing our.
Back, please.
She's suing us. That's what
Please.
it says. She's suing us.
Please,
Tell them about your lawsuit.
please.
So, just to say, it's really odd that she knew her son wanted nothing to do with this contract and this location. He originally wanted it at the flats years before then, because the flats had been dilapidated at that point. As soon as he found out that this land was contaminated, which you can all look up and find out, Sally also, in writing, wrote that the land was contaminated drought lands.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
Please, please, handle this. Excuse me, I'll take care of this.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
But Sally, knowing well that her son wanted nothing to do with this location or this contract, he made it clear to her in front of me, he made it clear to the town. After he passed, this contract was closed, and she went and put his name on it, knowing that he wanted nothing to do with it. And coincidence that she was running for mayor and was going around to try to get all of the bikers votes and the mountain bikers votes. And there are many friends of Jay's who contacted me to let me know that she was taking all of his stuff, my son's stuff out of the house, which we never got back.
Please, can you wrap this up, please?
You know what, Pat, this has to.
Please wrap this up.
I'm not gonna sit here while she does.
Sally, driver.
It's not allowed.
Can you wrap this up, please?
Sorry, it's not allowed. This lady has harassed me. She's abused me. She's neglected my family. She's stolen my belongings. She stole her own grandson's belongings, who is her son's son. So if you really are trying to honor your son, you would be honoring the people that he loved, that he left behind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
What is staying to this? Staying liar. You're a liar, special liar.
Tell Sally she has to leave. Sally has some needs of her own health. I'll take care of this. Please, please. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council?
Close to the public.
If not, I'll close the meeting.
I just want to say something. I am a friend of Sally Rinker.
Excuse me.
Just for your name. My name is Krista Gary. I live on Andrea Drive in Vernon. And I'm a friend of Sally Rinker's. I didn't want to speak tonight, but I know that she's not that type of person. That other person was saying. I know her to be a kind, caring individual and not depicted the way the person that just spoke said about her. And that's all I need to say. And everybody that knows Sally knows that. They respect her. She cares for people. And she wouldn't go out of her way to hurt somebody, steal something from somebody. Why would she do that? It doesn't make sense. And why was this done at the very end where other people have already spoken and they couldn't speak up anymore? But that's all I have to say. I know Sally Rinker. I believe in her. I trust her. She's my friend. And I don't think all those things were true.
Thank you.
All I have to say.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Shannon Geiger. I'm Jason Rinker's sister, and I just like to set the record straight that my brother wanted to build the pump track upon numerous